A very good afternoon, Bangladesh. Of course, it's a rainy afternoon today here in the capital of Dhaka in Bangladesh. Once again, welcoming you all to International Affairs being broadcasted from the SATV's Gulshan studio. We have interesting updates from around the world that we shall be discussing today here on the program. Before we begin the discussion, let me introduce my panelists. Here in the studio, we have Advocate Mohsin Rashid, a senior advocate and jurist of the Supreme Court, providing commentary on judicial reform and constitutional issues. I welcome you onto the program, sir. Good to see you after a long hiatus.
Same here.
Alongside, we have Norman Floyd Barnes, our geopolitical correspondent from Washington District of Columbia. I want to begin the discussion with Norman Floyd Barnes. Donald Trump announced that it was totally unacceptable, the proposals sent from Iran through mediating nations Pakistan. That is taking to the headlines. I want to begin with these very comments. This quagmire seems to run on even after 72 days of confrontations, more or less affecting the world global community. I want to ask you, Norman, what is the future of this? The 60 days of war has passed, and how does Congress want to discuss and have the steps forward regarding these issues with Iran, as well as passage of ships through the Strait of Hormuz? I want to begin with you. A very good morning to you, Norman.
Good morning from Washington, D.C. It is 4 a.m. here. Yes, the president has stated that he's totally rejecting the proposal, the counter-proposal by Iran on ending this conflict. Yet we are looking at how this is going to play out because it's so early this morning. Congress hasn't had a chance to digest this information, and however, the markets, the news of President Trump's rejection of the proposal has caused the markets to go up 3%. The price of oil has risen 3% this morning. The Nikkei and the Asian markets are also reflecting this response, and so we're waiting to see exactly how this is going to flare out in terms of our government response. The military is prepared to respond, but right now President Trump is holding all the cards. He is basically stating the ceasefire is still in place, even though his response is negative, and he don't believe it's a good plan. It's not a good proposal, as Iran is stating that they believe this is a reasonable proposal and they're not going to surrender. The proposal appeared to be one they thought was constitute a surrender, and that is something that Iran is not prepared to do. So here we go, another week of this back and forth of whose plan is better. My plan is better than yours. Your plan is better than mine. We don't agree. We agree. The only thing that happened is we agree to disagree. So that's what's happening right now. There's an agreement to disagree on both parties. So right now we at a stalemate, and nothing changed except the markets. The markets are reflecting this instability, and everything is rising. The cost of everything is going up, and tension is still gravitating towards how we're going to deal with the future based on what's happening in the Middle East.
Right. Excellent opening from Norman Floyd Barnes regarding the markets and how it has affected its relationship with Donald Trump's comments on a Truth Social platform, also owned by his very own company, in which he said it is totally unacceptable. Iran has said that no one in Iran writes proposal to please Trump, and it does not matter at all. These comments were made by Iran's administration. Not only so, Iran's Tasnim news agency also reported on this matter. I want to come to the studio with Advocate Mohsin Rashid. Donald Trump, the POTUS, the President of the United States of America, took to social media just a couple of days ago saying that he will wipe out an entire civilization, sending them back to the Stone Ages. That actually shows his intention, how he plans on dealing with Iran. And at this moment, this is no longer acceptable that the comments will be made over the weekend. There will be a peace proposal on Sunday. They will be reviewing that proposal, and right before the markets open on Monday, the commentary will have an effect. As per various internet resources and sources, even last night it was below $103 per barrel. The Brent crude oil price today, at this very moment, it has increased to 104.75 US dollars. As I speak, the metrics are going up. I want to ask you, who is he in the right brain? Because we don't have even 6 months to the midterm elections in the United States. How will you see this recent changes?
Well, you see, one thing has happened. They called it the Operation Fury, I think. That is over, officially, because Rubio has gone and stated publicly, standing at the podium of the State Department, that it's over now. We have achieved our purpose, so Operation Fury is over. Now the fight is on Operation Freedom.
Right.
So Operation Freedom is the freedom to navigate through the Strait of Hormuz. They have got stuck up now whether this blockade should go first and then the blockade on Hormuz will be lifted. Which one is going out first? So Iran wants the blockade to be lifted. America says no. If necessary, we'll escort the ships across the Hormuz Strait. And we saw they tried to do it.
Right.
And they were fired upon. So that was also not successful. They had to retreat. The point is, you see, the earlier treaty that was there, which was done during Obama's time, was a much better treaty than what even the United States is offering to Iran now. So America went out of that treaty. Now they are offering a better treaty to them, but Iran is now refusing. The reason is that those days you did not have these three superpowers. America was one lone superpower at that point in time when they negotiated that.
Almost in 2015, the
Almost,
JCPOA.
yeah.
Yep.
So now the situation is different. Now you have got three powers. All three are superpowers. China is also a giant now, in as much as economic power is concerned. Trump is going to China. He's scheduled to go to China on the 14th of this month.
Just 3 days from today.
3 days from today. And he certainly does not want that meeting to be cancelled. That's a big meeting, a big summit which is coming up. Much, much bigger than your G7 or G20, whatever. So it's a huge summit, because if these two people meet, then there would be perhaps some solution. We also have seen the Iranian foreign minister doing shuttle diplomacy, going from Pakistan to Oman, Oman to Russia, Russia back, and then back to China. So he had a very good meeting with Wang Yi, the Chinese foreign minister. No, so this diplomacy is going on. I think this will eventually work, because both the Israelis and the Americans have seen that Iran is, like it, dislike it, is a power. They say, Iranians claim that they have 120% more missiles than what they had when they started the war 72 days ago. This is the situation. America cannot keep up with production of the Patriots or Thirds or the Arrows or whatever they have. So there's a difference. And you know, the whole geopolitical situation is changing now. Both, not only geopolitical, but also geoeconomics is changing. I will tell you that BRICS is coming up in July. They are having a meeting, a summit, BRICS. The Russians and the Chinese, also the Brazilians, they regard the Indians as a proxy for the Americans in BRICS. You can take it from me. So there will be a change. Now, the Russians wanted to go back to RIP. RIP was a platform which was created before BRICS.
Right.
This was created by the earlier foreign minister of Russia. He was the man behind this. I forget his name. Before this gentleman who is there now. In the 1990s, this was created. RIP. Russia, India, China. RIC. I'm sorry. Now they are saying that this I will no more be India. I will be Iran. Who is saying? The Russians and the Chinese. They're talking amongst themselves to remove India and bring in, I will remain the same. In BRICS also, since there will be no consensus, because you know, Iran is a full member of BRICS. Turkey is a full member of BRICS. And Pakistan is not. They have applied for membership. Bangladesh has applied for membership. They are still not full members. So this will be a very interesting visit which will have great impact on this war which is going on. So you will see a lot of changes in Persian Gulf. We all have seen how Saudi Arabia said that they will not allow the Americans to use their airspace, even not allow their aircrafts to take off from their air base, American air base. They will not allow aircrafts to take off from there also. So situation is changing in the Persian Gulf. You know, Qatar, Saudi Arabia and Kuwait, they have gone to one side. Bahrain is also going to follow suit. They'll also join them. Amongst the GCC countries, Oman is already there with Iran. Amongst the GCC countries, only UAE is the country which has gone out
Of the OPEC.
of the
OPEC,
not
yes.
only OPEC, they will also be quitting GCC because they're totally aligned to Israel and the Americans. When I talk of Israel, I talk of America. When I talk of the United States, I also talk of Israel. So there also the Persian Gulf is changing, West Asia is changing. It's a huge change, you see. All the promised purchases that Saudi Arabia had said or Qatar had said they will buy from America may not be there. They might cancel these contracts. They may not buy these because they're getting better offers now from China, good quality, because J15 has already proven qualities, J30 has proven qualities, the cyber thing with inbuilt into these aircrafts is much better than the F-35s, and then you are getting the Russians Su-35, Sukhoi, whatever they have.
Sukhoi aircrafts,
Yeah.
yes.
So, you know, all these, if you look at this situation and then look at Pakistan. Pakistan, which was looked down even months back, has now attained a dominant diplomatic position globally.
Right.
Globally, they have attained this. You know, this entire region is changing.
Accurately.
Turkey is also becoming a big power because Turkey is a big manufacturer of drones.
Of drones. And not only so, they've recently debuted a very high-powered intercontinental ballistic missile at one of the expos.
So there you go. So, the world is changing, the West Asia is changing. You already know that World Bank has taken Pakistan off from the South Asia desk and put Pakistan in West Asia.
West Asia.
So they are no more there. Look, these are big changes, because the per capita income of those countries is much more than Pakistan. So what was the necessity of taking them out from South Asia? The necessity is the diplomatic image which has gone up by thousands of percent. It's gone up.
Right.
All these changes are taking place even within the institutions, the Brent institutions. These changes are taking place. The other reason is World Bank regional office for South Asia is here in Dhaka. And this is being controlled by the Indians mostly. Indian experts, the Indian economists, they are here. So I think World Bank also thought, and the United States also thought, perhaps that Pakistan should be taken out of there so that you don't have these Indian people running their economy or giving them projects or whatever. So take them out and to a place where you have different set of people from different countries who are there.
Right.
So it's a big change which has taken place. And I should also thank Trump for bringing about this change. Israel has gone quiet now. Now Israel knows what the actual situation is. Their Greater Israel project has been put to hold. The Zionist project of taking over Jordan, taking over parts of Saudi Arabia, their dream of taking over Mecca and Medina, the Israelis, that does not exist anymore. That has gone behind, that is pushed back. Now Israel will exist or not exist, that has become a dominant question now.
Correct.
So let's see how these changes play out. It's a big change, it's a huge change.
Excellent statements coming from Advocate Mohsin Rashid. A lot on the plate that he has brought on, starting from the 2015 Obama administration-led JCPOA agreement between the nations, between Iran's nuclear program. I want to ask Norman this very faint question, very simple question. Previously, before the war had begun, we've seen the mediating role being played by the nation of Qatar and some more or less Egypt as well, pertaining to issues of Gaza, pertaining to issues of the vehement and violent ceasefire violations by Israel in southern Lebanon as well as in Palestinian lands in that nation. I want to ask Norman, the role of Qatar is now being played by Pakistan. This does warrant a question whether or not Qatar has lost its trust amongst the nations as well. We've seen UAE step out of the OPEC, and as Mohsin Rashid was stating, they will step out of the Gulf cooperating countries as well. I want to get a comment from you, especially because Saudi Arabia's Aramco, the prime national company, says that 1 billion barrels have been stopped because of the Strait of Hormuz not being operational and due to this warlike situation. Norman, how will you see this?
Yes, thank you for the question. The 1 billion, I guess, units of oil has been. I would suggest that the number is much higher than that. Every day that the strait is being stranglehold affects the economy of the world. The Middle East is the energy hub for the rest of the world. We mentioned Bahrain, we mentioned the Gulf states and how they were somehow leaders in this campaign against the war. My assessment is that they are, because they are in the Gulf states and because of Iran's strategy to stranglehold the movement of commerce through that region, which is their region, they have been basically neutralized. They are now suffering, just like the rest of all the countries in the region. They do not have the power to do anything because everything emanates from the flow of the Persian Gulf of commerce. So they cannot get their products out. They cannot get things in. So they do not have a real leverage in the thing because they are now being part of the the plan that Iran is strangleholding the rest of the world. This Strait of Hormuz is a very important part of the economy of the world right now because of how we depend on the 20%. You said 20% of everything comes from that area. I suggest it's a lot more than that. 20% may come from that, but countries like China use 70% of their energy products. Russia, other parts of the world, South Asia is being affected more than just the 20%. 20% may come out there, but it affects over 80% of the rest of the world. So right now, Bahrain, just like the rest of the countries now, they're basically in a checkmate situation. So having Pakistan come out is a revelation to basically mediate these conditions will help stabilize the future. But right now, they cannot do anything. Bahrain can't do anything. The Middle East can't do anything. Saudi Arabia, they have to make a decision on how they want to move forward because up until now, they have depended on the free-flowing trade and commerce from the Persian Gulf. So that is not going to change. That is not going to go back. I do not see any chances that Iran is going to give up that leverage they have moving to the future. So we are going to continue to see this back and forth between the United States, Israel, regarding the control of this area. Israel is hell bent on making sure the nuclear capabilities of Iran is unavailable. Iran is not giving up their sovereign, the ability to self-govern. So we do not see any changes in the future. Military part of attacks has not worked. It causes more damage, but it also creates more resolve for Iran to continue its stranglehold on the region and the economy of the world. So right now we're looking at a battle of the pens and the paper and the economy. How do we resolve this issue? How do we move forward? Yes, change is happening. Change is moving forward. We're not going to go back to anything we did yesterday. Everything is moving forward. So the plan has to change. The mindset has to change. And there have to be agreements on how we're going to coexist. You will not be able to dominate anymore. The Western world will not be able to dominate as we moving forward. They do not have the leverage. Because of this stranglehold strategy by Iran, the future changes. Thank you.
Right. Important statements from Norman Floyd Barnes. Of course, the plan and the mindset and how to coexist amongst this neighborhood. However, a dangerous precedent was set when the U.S. administration took Iran for the next Afghanistan, if not for the next Iraq, because Iran has fended off both Israel and as United States of America for the last 72 or so days. One should consider Iran to be a superpower as well. With that being said, it's time to take a commercial break. Ladies and gentlemen, do stay tuned on this very program. Hello and welcome to International Affairs, and my name is Shamsul Alam Pantha.
I don't see an easy resolution to this because every slight deviation from the plan,
opening an open war conflict with them,
testing nuclear missiles,
Russia's announcement of these supposedly successful testing,
special and exclusive footage that is being played on SATV screen,
Really coming to terms with Hamas.
Damage estimated between this entire issue.
President Trump is expected to hold bilateral talks,
preserving biodiversity and tackling climate change.
We cannot protect the planet before we negotiate peace.
Where is it going? Is it understanding the needs of its people before the needs of this global world?
For China to come to agreement.
They will face better projects.
with President Xi of China and President Lee of South Korea.
Trump's White House that is in favor of these things.
Simply not enough action being taken to address the problem of fossil fuels.
What their plan initially is towards the Caribbean, a place that has been met with two types of disasters.
Bangladeshi students at the same level of opportunity internationally and domestically.
International Affairs. Watch every Sunday to Thursday at 2 p.m. only on SATV and SATV Digital. Hello and welcome to International Affairs, and my name is Shamsul Alam Pantha.
I don't see an easy resolution to this because every slight deviation from the plan
Opening an open war conflict with them.
testing nuclear missiles.
Russia's announcement of these supposedly successful testing.
Special and exclusive footage that is being played on SATV screen.
Welcoming all our viewers back on International Affairs. In this very program, we were talking about the updates and developments between Iran and the United States of America and how the world seems to cope up for, as we see, 72 or more days that are happening because of this happening out of Middle East. We must discuss the global players, the superpowers that are going to shape the current year in economics, in macroeconomics as well. In the studio, we have Advocate Mohsin Rashid, while we have Norman Floyd Barnes on Zoom. I want to ask Norman, metaphorically speaking, we see two camps coming out between the talks. I know that just 2-3 days from today, Donald Trump is set to visit China, set to visit the president of the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, Xi Jinping. Now, before I get into the analysis between USA and China, we must understand that every now and then, the entire globe sees these two competing forces playing out. Whether or not the European Commission is sometimes willing to lean towards US, if not willing to lean towards China. And the similar pattern we can see in the Middle East. Some of the Gulf nations are having the backing of US, Israel, while the nation of Iran is seeking backing from China. The proxy war and the comments that will be made. Last time it was in Southern Korea, where we've seen Donald Trump's team met with Xi Jinping's team. They dealt with some of the economic deals as well between the two nations. We know that one is a consumer-driven economy, while the other is, of course, a manufacturing giant, not only in Asia, but around the globe. I want to discuss this relationship with you, Norman. How do you see the US-China relationships going on?
Thank you. The relationships has always been one of grave mistrust, and the reason is that the Trump administration feels that China is his greatest opponent as we move into the future. And you ask that question, why? Well, China has identified itself, has announced themselves as the alternative. And people say, okay, the alternative to what? Well, the alternative to what is happening right now. The Western, the petrodollar, the United States, the whole Western establishment system is now being challenged because the future looks for something else. There need to be alternative. And by means of the Trump administration basically enforcing that through the military, through tariffs, through restrictions, to challenging the sovereignty of countries, has now forced the rest of the world to basically look for alternatives. And the alternative is not to be bullied, not to be overtaxed, and also to have ability to make trade free of sanctions. Sanctions and commerce, trade and commerce will dictate the future. So the Chinese relationship is one of basically by proxy, they are working with Iran and other countries to get things done. We talked about the emergence of the global south, the BRICS. The BRICS is developing as an alternative, which China is a member of, a leader of how we want to move forward. An alternative currency, alternative ways of doing business. These are the things that is questioning and threatening the United States and the Western system. So we're talking about systems changes now. Things are moving forward. It's a restart. Because of the things I mentioned before, done by the Trump administration and the United States and the rest of the world, people are now looking at other options. And the options are we'll do it better ourselves, we'll be more self-reliant, and we have to understand that unless we protect our sovereignty or create bonds with people who can help do that, we will be subjected to the same situation that happened in Venezuela. So the movement now is basically a shift to alternative solutions, alternative relationships, and basically to stay in a situation where, yes, I can still work with the Western world, but I have alternatives so I can shop around, I can have options, and I'm not being bullied or threatened to do one thing by one area. So the days are over for the idea, hey, you do it my way or no way. Well, we have other ways of doing things. That's what countries are saying now, and we're going to exercise these options, and we're going to see how things go. So the shift is on, the change is happening right now. So we have to be prepared for the new horizon that is emerging out of this situation. There will be an end of this conflict, but it will be an economic end, not a military end. And that end will be more of a concession to basically to include other options. So until that happens, we will see this conflict going on and on and on and on because one party feels that if they give up too much, they'll lose everything. However, as the world moves forward, as this situation in the Strait indicate that no one party can control how the world is going to move forward. Everybody's interdependent on each other, and we have to find again a way to comfortably coexist.
Right. Brilliant statements from Norman Floyd Barnes regarding the relationship between China and the United States of America. Once again, even though their last meeting was held in South Korea, senior trade negotiators from China and the United States will be holding economic and trade consultations once more in Southern Korea ahead of this expected visit. Of course, the Chinese Commerce Ministry said the Vice Premier He Lifeng will lead a delegation towards Seoul, as well as the U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent will represent the American side. I want to come and ask Advocate Mohsin Rashid. A couple of days ago, we've seen a shortage of jet fuel. As a result, Spirit Airlines in the United States had gone down. JetBlue as well had said that they will be closing their operations. These are effects that are happening inside the United States of America because of their decision making from around the world. A shortage of jet fuel will also have various effects in trade as well as tourism. I want to ask you, these meetings that we see in front of the big screens, they often come with promises and demands, and how they live up to these promises. Say, for example, when we look at electric vehicles, without a second of thought, we think about China. That is because they have developed BYD, Build Your Dream. The company out of China has taken on to fight the likes of the US company Tesla, eating it into its market share. This is just a basic ground example. So I want to ask you, expectations versus the realities, the meetings between these two giants, your observations.
You see, expectations is, you can always have expectations. But reality is something different these days, you see. And this expectations would have become reality had Trump not started this war. Then situation would have been different. Things would have been normal. Now it is changed to an extent where we are thinking or looking at a global recession or a global depression. You see, where our economies will go. Let's take a look at Bangladesh. We will suffer the most. It's not that the United States will not suffer. Let's take the case, how will you manufacture these electric cars? How will you manufacture these smartphones? Or because for chips you need helium. Helium is not coming.
Because of that Strait of Hormuz.
Because of this Strait of Hormuz. Helium you need for medical machines that you have, MRIs and all other things
Correct.
that you have. Then what do you do with food shortages? You will have food shortages because there are no fertilizers. Bangladesh doesn't have fertilizers. Where do we get fertilizers from? Americans will need fertilizers. So, you know, the whole world, we do not know. The global order is certainly changed. I am not saying it is changing. It has geopolitical order has changed. Geoeconomics is also going to change. You see, petrodollar will no more be the currency where people will have their reserves. You see, they might now have a basket of currencies which they will have for their foreign, for their reserves.
Right.
Previously it was just the United States. I do not know whether Aramco will still deal in petrodollars or they will be dealing in yuan and other currencies. So we have to see.
Correct.
Big change globally, all started by Trump, and he started it without knowing what he was going to do. He, even as of now, he has no idea that what he is up to or what he wants actually. Even at this stage when you are having midterm elections, he has to go for a treaty or a deal. If he does not, he is going to suffer because the world will global, if there is global recession also, there will be a lot of trouble. I am looking towards a global depression. At least Bangladesh economy will go into depression. This much I can assure. So if he does not, then these elections are coming up. And what would the Americans do? $4 a gallon, $5 a gallon, $6 a gallon?
Exactly how long will they be, will be burdened with this excess?
How long will they do it? What will be the price of eggs which they need for their breakfast? We already had seen that this had gone up about 4, 6, 7, 8 months back. It was $10 or something for one egg. It has now come down, it's okay. But what will happen to their other consumer products like shirts and other things? Well, when the Americans make shirts, they sell for $60, $80, $100 their shirts. And when they buy from China or Bangladesh
or Vietnam for that matter,
or Vietnam
all
or
these
Cambodia,
nations.
anywhere, they sell for $10, $15, $20, you see. So what will happen to those consumers? There was a time when they were using towel once and then throwing out, you see, in hotels. Those days are gone. Now they have to wash them and put them back into the bathrooms or washrooms or toilets, whatever you may call it.
Right.
So question is, the Americans must have some sense. You see, this guy, the senator, a great sycophant of Trump, what is his name? I'm forgetting. Lindsey Graham.
Lindsey Graham.
Correct? Senator Lindsey Graham. He's been a senator for 23 years. I think this midterm is going to lose. That is his situation. Lindsey Graham's situation, you see. So situation is not looking good for Trump. Trump must realize that with a little give and take, not to rely on Netanyahu, not to rely on Israel, but he should focus on the American economy.
Right.
He should focus on the Europeans. He should focus on the global economy. Israel is still small, and if what Trump has done, Israel knows what has happened. I mean, they do not allow news to come out, but we all know leaks are there, how Israel has also suffered. That is why they are not trying to attack Iran. Otherwise, do you think they would be sitting quiet? No, not at all. So their entire program of the Zionists is gone, of a greater Israel. You see, can I make a statement now?
Sure, please.
Sorry, Norman.
He's no longer here, but please.
Okay, sorry. I think this Holocaust also was a creation of the Zionists, so that they could get a foothold and have a state of their own in Palestine.
And that would take us back to 1948 and previously, right, when the World War II has ended in 1945. Right, and when we talk about the Holocaust, we only gain sympathy for Jews. However, today, that very sympathy is in the matter of question. Interesting debates happening between Advocate Mohsen Rashid and as well Norman Floyd Barnes. It's time to take a short commercial break. We will discuss local issues here in Bangladesh after the break.
Really coming to terms with Hamas.
Damage estimated between this entire issue.
President Trump is expected to hold bilateral talks.
Preserving biodiversity and tackling climate change.
We cannot protect the planet before we negotiate peace.
Where is it going? Is it understanding the needs of its people before the needs of this global world?
For China to come to agreement,
they will face better projects.
With President Xi of China and President Lee of South Korea.
Trump's White House that is in favor of these things.
Simply not enough action being taken to address the problem of fossil fuels.
What their plan initially is towards the Caribbean, a place that has been met with two types of disasters.
Bangladeshi students at the same level of opportunity internationally and domestically.
International Affairs. Watch every Sunday to Thursday at 2 p.m. only on SATV and SATV Digital. Hello and welcome to International Affairs, and my name is Shamsul Alam Pantha.
I don't see an easy resolution to this because every slight deviation from the plan,
opening an open war conflict with them,
testing nuclear missiles,
Russia's announcement of these supposedly successful testing,
special and exclusive footage that is being played on SATV screen,
really coming to terms with Hamas.
Damage estimated between this entire issue.
President Trump is expected to hold bilateral talks.
preserving biodiversity and tackling climate change.
We cannot protect the planet before we negotiate peace.
Where is it going? Is it understanding the needs of its people before the needs of this global world?
For China to come to agreement,
they will face better projects.
With President Xi of China and President Lee of South Korea.
Trump's White House that is in favor of these things.
Simply not enough action being taken to address the problem of fossil fuels.
What their plan initially is towards the Caribbean, a place that has been met with two types of disasters.
Bangladeshi students at the same level of opportunity internationally and domestically.
International affairs. Watch every Sunday to Thursday. Welcoming our viewers back on International Affairs. In the last segment, I must thank Norman Floyd Barnes as his connection has to be disconnected. I want to talk about with Advocate Mohsin Rashid a matter that is of national importance as well, US-Bangladesh trade deal or the reciprocal trade agreement which has been signed February 9th, 2026. I remind you, February 9th, and the election was held February 12th, 3 days from that very day. So I want to ask Advocate Mohsin Rashid, according to the Daily Sun, the English news portal, students are demanding scrapping of this trade deal with the US, and they warn that the domestic dairy and poultry sectors could face severe damage. I want to know from your angle, how do you see the US-Bangladesh trade deal? Because if you look at the history, we as a nation could be very easily exploited into the international market. How do you see this?
Well, this trade deal was actually a sellout. The scoundrel Yunus government, they sold out a country. Through this deal, they have made us slaves. Now, it is very important for this government to see to it that we withdraw from this trade deal. And there is a termination clause. It's a 32-page agreement that we have seen. And you see, what were you doing? Will Bangladesh import pork into Bangladesh? We don't eat pork. 95% people don't eat pork. I think the Hindus here also don't eat pork. So 100% people don't eat pork, and we have got that in the schedule.
And it's medically evaluated that having such meat would even cause problems for the human body as well.
Of course, I mean, now let me give you some biology.
Please. I'm happy to say that the entire production team as well as me do realize that this kind of deal is very harmful for Bangladesh.
Give you some biology now. You know, pork. Islam says it is haram.
Right.
Why it says it is haram? Because biologically, you see, pork does not sweat.
Right.
It does not have the sweat glands. Pigs do not have the sweat glands. So everything which is bad, which should be coming out through our pores and other things, or other animals also, they sweat. Pork does not have a gland. Similarly, pork retains many of these bad things that it eats.
Right.
That is the reason why pork is haram in Islam. It's not for any other reason. We can eat horse's meat, we can eat any meat, but pork is haram for this reason, because biologically it should not be eaten. It will create sickness, illness.
Correct.
See, so why do we have to put in the trade deal this pork? I want to understand. This government has executed this 14 aircrafts. You even don't have place on the tarmac to put these aircrafts. You do not have the, places where you can go. Yours is very limited, you see. Similarly, you have to take permission if you want to import something from China, say like some security equipment or whatever. You have to first go to them and take their permission before you do it. So, you know, in the schedule, it's a big schedule.
Right.
Actually, the agreement is very small. It's a few pages. But most of it is in the schedule. And I think that agreement is a statement of slavery which we have signed. And surprisingly, this government has not taken any steps so far to get out of it. The United States Supreme Court has already declared Trump's emergency powers, which he had invoked to impose 50% and 80% tariff.
That is right.
Now, importing cotton I'm talking of the garment industry, importing cotton from the United States will give you a zero tariff when you export your goods. But you have to give a certificate, and it has to be examined that this fabric was made out of cotton, or this thread was made out of cotton, which was imported from the United States, you see. Otherwise, you go back to that 19% or something. Now, that 19% or whatever can always be negotiated, because this administration is there for 2-3 years. We might do bad. We can go back on the table and renegotiate these things.
Right.
I would urge my government to please look into it, try to get out of this agreement of slavery, renegotiate this, take those, like beef. Why should we import beef? For what? You see.
You have cattle and livestock readily available here.
Why? Why should we import these things? So, this should be looked into, this should be renegotiated, but to do that, please remove this American agent, Khalilur Rahman, from the cabinet. This is the first item you should have on the agenda, that you should ask him to resign, have another foreign minister who can deal freely, because he was part of the signatory team, though it was signed by Aqis Bashiruddin and one Mr. Green or somebody who was on behalf of the United States. Please remove Khalilur Rahman. He should not have been in your cabinet. And if you think that you are looking for Western support, I am sorry, the world is changing. Westerners will not give you anything. Westerners will not be able to help you. Remove him. Get somebody who can move around, negotiate like a diplomat, and bring good news for the people of Bangladesh.
Outstanding commentary from Advocate Mohsen Rashid regarding this reciprocal trade agreement. Of course, the current administration should definitely reassess this agreement in similarity with other nations of manufacturing nations such as Vietnam and Cambodia, and how they see to reactions from the United States.
Look at Malaysia and Indonesia, they have done something about this. They are trying to get out of this treaty.
Right.
Look at that.
Unfortunately, we do not have time to discuss that issue. However, I must thank you, Advocate Mohsen Rashid. You have provided a very valuable insight into international and national issues. I thank you for appearing today on this very program. Alongside, I want to thank Norman Floyd Barnes for continuously supporting us here in Bangladesh from Washington, District of Columbia. Ending with this statement, today is World Ego Awareness Day, observed annually on May 11th. It is to aware people of the negative impacts of excessive egotism, narcissism, and toxic ego, encouraging humility and self-reflection. Of course, I could relate this to the US President Donald Trump. With that being said, I want to sign out on international affairs. I will see you all tomorrow.